All right, let's talk about one of the biggest headaches in data. You know your data is valuable, but it's never in one nice, neat place, is it? It's always scattered all over the place.
So picture this. You've got a table of university courses over here and a list of their prerequisites way over there. They're obviously related, but they're completely separate. So how in the world do you bring them together to see the full picture? Well, that's exactly the puzzle we're going to solve today.
Here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at that scattered data problem, then see how joins are the magic that bring it all together. We'll find the perfect match, figure out how to keep all the pieces, and then learn how to create custom windows into our data. Finally, we'll talk about the power of control.
Okay, let's dive right in and set the scene. Imagine for a minute that we're running a university's course catalog. The info isn't in one giant spreadsheet. It's smartly divided into smaller, specialized tables. First up, we've got our course table. Pretty simple, right? It's got the course ID, the title, which department it's in, and how many credits it's worth. This is basically our main menu of all the courses available. And here's its partner in crime, the prereq table. It's super simple. It just connects a course ID to the ID of its prerequisite. The course ID is the link, but here's the problem. If you want to know the name of that prerequisite, you have to go back to the first table and look it up manually. What a pain. That's the exact kind of inefficiency we need to solve.
So, how do we fix this whole mess? Well, say hello to your new best friend and one of the most powerful tools in all of SQL, the join.
So what on earth is a join? Just think of it like a magical zipper for your tables. It takes two separate pieces of data, finds a common column, like our course ID, and intelligently zips together the rows that match up to create one new, awesome, and much more useful table. Okay, first up, let's talk about the most common type of join there is. This one is all about finding that perfect one-to-one overlap between your data. It's called the inner join, and you can think of it like a strict bouncer at a club. It looks at a row from the first table and asks the second table, hey, you got a match for this? If the second table says yep, the row gets in. But if there's no match, sorry, you're not on the list. You don't make the cut.
And bam, here's what you get. We ran an inner join on our course and prereq tables, and now we have this beautiful combined result. Now look closely. Every single course you see here has a prerequisite. We've successfully connected the dots, but only for the data that lined up perfectly.
So, what's the big takeaway here? The inner join is your go-to tool when you want that clean, perfect, overlapping set of data. It's fantastic when you only care about records that are complete. But, and this is a big but, what about all the information that got left behind at the door? And that question leads us perfectly into our next topic. Because sometimes losing that data is a huge problem. You might actually need to see everything, even the records that are incomplete. And that's where outer joins come into the picture. Let's put it simply. Inner joins are picky. They only care about the perfect overlap. Outer joins, well, they're much more forgiving. They do the same matching work, but then they go back and add in the rows from one or even both tables that didn't find a partner.
Let's zoom in on the left outer join. The name tells you pretty much everything you need to know. The table on the left of the command is the VIP. We are going to keep every single row from that table, no matter what. Then, we bring in the matching data from the right table. And if a VIP row doesn't have a match, it doesn't get thrown out. Instead, the empty spots are filled with null, which is just the database's way of shrugging and saying, hey, I looked but couldn't find anything for this one.
And check this out. This is the magic of the left join. We made our courses table the VIP. See our old friends, the courses with prerequisites? They're still here. But look, CS315 is back. We didn't throw it out this time. We can now clearly see it in our list, and its prereq ID is just null, telling us it doesn't have one listed.
So why is this such a game changer? Because now you can see everything from your main table's point of view. You can instantly spot the gaps in your data, like which courses are missing prerequisites, or which customers haven't bought anything yet. You get to see the whole story, not just the parts that are neatly finished.
And you know what? This same idea applies to right and full outer joins. A right join, it's the same thing, but it makes the table on the right the VIP. And a full outer join, that's the ultimate everybody's invited party. It keeps every single row from both tables filling in the blanks wherever it needs to. It's all about deciding which part of the story is most important to you.
All right, so we've totally figured out how to stitch our data together. Awesome. But this actually creates a brand new problem. You've built this massive, all-encompassing table, but you probably don't want to show everything to everyone.
I mean, think about it. Maybe you need to hide sensitive columns like salaries, or maybe you just want to create a much simpler version of a super complex table for a specific team. You don't want to give them the keys to the entire kingdom, right? So how do you create a controlled, custom window into your data?
And that's where views come in. Think of a view less like a real table and more like a saved recipe or a special lens you can look through. It doesn't actually store any data itself. It's a saved query that, when you look at it, runs in the background and shows you a live, customized look at the real data. It's absolutely perfect for security and simplicity.
And creating one is incredibly easy. Step 1, you just write a totally normal query to select the exact slice of data you want someone to see. Step 2, you wrap that query in a create view command and give it a simple name. And step 3, well, that's it. You're done. Now, anyone can use that simple view name and see only what you want them to see without ever having to know about the complexity underneath.
So, this sounds amazing, right? You get all this power, all this control over who sees what, but as always, there's a little catch, isn't there? Especially when you want to make changes. So here's the fine print. Since a view is just a window and not the real data, trying to change the data through it can get complicated. I mean, if your view pulls data from 3 different tables and you try to update one value, how does the database know which of the real tables to change? It gets confused. So to be safe, it often just won't let you make those kinds of updates. That's the trade-off. So let's recap the big ideas. Joins are your tool for bringing scattered data together to build the full story. And views are for creating safe, simple windows into that story for different people.
Which really leaves us with a final thought. If you think of every row of data as a single word, then joins are kind of like the grammar you use to connect those words into a meaningful sentence, and views, they're how you edit that sentence down into a perfect focused chapter made just for a specific reader. It really makes you wonder, are these just lines of code, or are they the actual language we use to tell stories with data?